Welcome to the very last episode of this series on burnout. I've had such fun recording this, spending time with you, sharing these insights. And from all the feedback that I'm getting, you're enjoying it as well, which is perfect. That's exactly the point. Now, we've spent a lot of time going through and understanding what burnout is, how we get there. We've talked about some things that we do whenever we think it's a sprint and it's actually a marathon that causes burnout to occur, right? We just get completely exhausted. We just don't have anything left in the tank to give. Last week, we talked about the clues, 3 big clues that we need to be looking for that could put us in a situation that would lead to burnout. Okay, let's be intentionally clear. Those 3 clues that we talked about last week are the clues that we need to look for because those are marathon situations, not sprint. So if we don't pivot our leadership and shift into that marathon leadership perspective, we're absolutely going to burn out. We're going to be exhausted because there's no way we can survive a marathon with a sprint mentality and a sprint action attitude. All right. So giving all those pieces, today is the day that you're ready for. If we have the clues, now how do we either avoid burnout? What are some things we need to do internally for ourselves? And if we're already facing burnout, how do we get out of it? What does that look like? So let's spend some time today. I'm going to give you 3 things that need to happen in order to help you avoid or get out of burnout. All right, ready? Number 1, we have to accept the truth. And we've talked about this a lot. Once we identify that we are sitting in this Groundhog Day Perfect Storm, the marathon, once we acknowledge, right, we see one of those clues and we recognize that that's the space we're in, we have to accept it for what it is. We cannot allow, I've made it through before, or surely it's going to end. Remember, the truth will set you free. Go back to that episode. We have to accept the reality of the situation. We have to face the truth. It is a marathon. We cannot attack it with this sprint mentality. We have got to pivot our leadership. We can't give our all. We can't sacrifice all of our hours. We've got to do some different things. So let me tell you what those different things are. Once we accept the truth, if we're in a situation that's going to require a lot of us, it's an anomaly, it's different, but it's longer than a couple of weeks, and we accept that it's a marathon, what we've got to do is now we've got to pivot our leadership into that marathon leadership. What is that? We must get strategic. Ultimately, what happens when we're facing one of those marathon situations is we've got to solve problems. There are impacts and changes in the business that we haven't faced before, we haven't prepared or planned for, and we have to pivot. The best way to pivot is to create a strategy, get strategic, and add value through that new strategic initiative. If you listen to last month, if you listen to what we share here at Legend Leaders, the one rule of business success is adding daily value. If you want to have an amazing career, if you want to be a true asset to your organization, you must add value. Well, you can't add value if you're focused on that sprint mentality. You can't add value if you're burnt out. Okay? Now, I'll talk about us personally in a second. I'm just talking about through the lens of the organization. The organization doesn't want you burnt out. That doesn't help anyone. So we have to get strategic. That's how we add value to the organization. And that's how we save ourselves. And that is how we step into being this marathon leader. Okay. I'm going to get very, very strategic. I'm going to think differently. I'm going to lead differently. Instead of doing what I've always done and just quickly solve and just push and push and push and push and push, stop. I'm going to step back and look at everything that I have going on. And I'm going to start asking questions about, is this the right way to do this? Is this the right way to tackle this? What's the overarching problem that we're facing here? Right? How does my team engage and add value to solve the problem, to help us get through this long marathon of a storm? Right? Instead of continuing to do what we've always done. The best leaders in a marathon situation, we don't do what we've always done because we're not going to finish the race. We pivot, we get strategic, and we put new initiatives and new plans into place to solve the problem. If you will step back and be the strategic leader and put new plans, new solutions in place, that is a marathon leader. That's also how you add value. The company will appreciate you. The company will appreciate your efforts. It will save you from being burnt out because you're focused on the right things, not the wrong things that really aren't getting any results, but it's the things that you know how to do. You'll be over here intentionally, purposefully putting new plans into place that will benefit you, that will benefit the team, and it will benefit the organization. Okay? Get strategic. And the third thing that we must do is we must be intentional with our time. One of the big things, again, burnout in and of itself, we define it's exhaustion. And we typically get exhausted because, again, we're running this sprint. So we think. And we're sacrificing all this personal time, family time, mental downtime, just rest, sleep, exercise, eating well. All of those things get sacrificed in a sprint. And like we said, that's okay because those things happen. Those are anomalies. And we can sacrifice for a little bit of time because sometimes our careers require that. Fine. We're all aligned that that's perfectly fine and normal. But when we're in this marathon situation and we've accepted the reality that's where we are, and we've pivoted our leadership to be very strategic and put new initiatives into place that add value to the organization. Not what we've always done, what's actually going to add value in this new situation, right? Then we're going to get intentional with our time. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean a couple of things. When we get into a new situation, human nature, maybe this isn't you, but human nature is we call our peers, we talk to people, we call our team, and we converse. We spend a lot of time having dialogue, whether it's gossiping, complaining, just saying, I can't believe we're in this state. We spend a lot of time talking about the problem and a lot less time solving the actual problem. And the reason why we don't spend a lot of time solving the problem is because we think we're doing that. We think we're solving the problem by just giving more time and doing what we've always done. Well, if we do step number 2, we're very strategic and we put new plans and implement new procedures and process and programs, right? New strategies. Now there's nothing to go complain about. We're not going to talk about the problem. We're focused on the solution. And when we spend time focused on the solution, we should then be looking at our calendars. We should be scheduling time that allows us to be strategic and put those initiatives in place, eliminate the stuff that isn't working, and we're not going to spend the bulk of our time talking to other people, again, about the problem. We're going to spend time solving the problem. I see so many leaders, men and women, okay? This is not gender specific. This is every leader. We love to spend time talking about the problem. Oh, this is so bad. I hate this. How did we get here? I hear you. That's human. There's no judgment here. This is human. We've all done this, including me, okay? But if we don't want to sacrifice our time anymore, then we can't spend time focusing on the problem and just complaining about it. We've got to solve the problem. And when you shift your calendar to be strategic and focus on solving the problem, you will get your time back. You will get your time for your personal time and you won't have to sacrifice anymore. And there will be this healthy balance that you have to have in order to stay out of burnout or get yourself out of burnout. So I'm going to go through the 3 really quickly again. Accept reality. Get strategic in order to add the most value and be intentional with your time. If you are on the edge, if you're recognizing that you're entering into this marathon, those are the 3 things you've got to do. If you've been in this marathon, if you are completely burnt out, you're exhausted, accept that that's where you are. Get strategic. Get rid of the old stuff, inject the new stuff, and then let's spend the time wisely. Get your time back. You have to. You cannot pour from an empty cup, right? That's what they say. You're empty. If you're in burnout, you are empty. So you've got to intentionally find ways to fill up your cup. Now, let's talk about being in burnout right now for just a second. If you're there, you can apply all 3 of these things and it's going to help you. If you cannot take vacation, if things are too bad and you just cannot step away for a little bit of time, then you've got to get your time back in order to have regular personal time for yourself every single day. You've got to do that for yourself. If you can take vacation, I'm going to encourage you to do that. Take some wellness time for yourself. You deserve it. Rest, clear your brain, relax, replenish you. You're not good to anyone, including yourself, if you're in a state of burnout. Okay? So let's get you back on track. Implement these 3 components, and it will help you avoid burnout, and it will help you get out of burnout if you're already there. Now, if you're facing burnout or you're uncertain or you just really want to anchor in some of these concepts and you want to talk through it with someone, reach out, send an email, info@legendleaders.com. That's what we're here for. We're happy to help. As always, go and be legendary.